서울 외국인 학교 2학년 이인영 학생입니다. 이인영 학생은 코로나로 인해 현재 학교 규정상 외부 활동이 금지돼 있다고 합니다. 그래서 오늘 영상으로 제출을 했는데요. 우리는 알려야 합니다. 그날의 진실을 Our Duty to Tell the Truth란 주제로 준비한 발표 영상 함께 보시겠습니다.
Do you know what happened on April 3rd, 1948? When my teacher asked me this question 2 years ago, hundreds of thoughts rushed through my head. What had happened on April 3rd? Was it an historical event? Was it an important date? I didn't know the answer to the question then, and what my teacher told me next was something I would never quite forget. On April 3rd, tens of thousands of your people got massacred. With that, he handed me this book, Jeju Island. On the cover was the beautiful and pristine scenery of Jeju, the lavender-colored sunset over the vast stretch of lush mountains. But just like you can't judge a book by its cover, within the chapters of Jeju's history was a memory of pain that betrayed the magnificent view on the surface. On page 101, there's a short section about the April 3rd incident. As I read through the section, I was horrified by the words that filled the page. 30,000 dead, 10% of Jeju's population. Innocent civilians accused and branded, brutally killed. Families forced to leave their homes, burnt villages, and destroyed livelihoods. The title of this book is Jeju Island, Reaching to the Core of Beauty, but it felt ironic. Underneath its natural wonders and welcoming residents, the core of Jeju's beauty was filled with unforgettable sorrow. The more I researched about the incident, the more I questioned. How had I not known about the April 3rd incident? For years, I'd stayed in oblivion of the injustices that had happened in my mother country. In fact, the people who first introduced me to April 3rd was not Koreans. It was my Indian Singaporean teacher who first asked me whether I knew about the April 3rd incident and gave me this book. It was my American drama teacher who encouraged me to visit the April 3rd memorial. It was their first year living in Korea. It was my 16th. And yet, they were the ones holding me accountable for knowing the history of April 3rd. I was partly ashamed of myself for being a Korean and not knowing and remembering this important moment of our history. But I was also thankful that I was given an opportunity to learn and study. I was inspired by how much my teachers were impacted by this incident and by how much they had wanted to spread the message of Jeju, even as foreigners. This is when I realized the injustice and tragedy of the Jeju April 3rd incident transcends countries. The incident was a massacre against Koreans, but it was also a massacre against humanity. The April 3rd incident is something though distinctly part of Korean identity and history that anyone can share. This realization has reminded me that as the next generation, our duty is to remember the incident. And to do so, we need to tell and spread the legacy of the April 3rd incident with the world. By remembering past wrongdoings and commemorating victims' legacies, we can firstly prevent such tragedies from being repeated in the future, not only in Korea, but in the world around us. Secondly, the only way we can be truly open about the April 3rd incident is by continuously opening forums of discussion and debate around the world. Through allowing more people to learn and discuss, we can become closer to embracing the truth and reflecting on the past. Thirdly, we need to hold everyone accountable, not only as Koreans, but as humans and global citizens. We all hold the responsibility to remember a sadness shared by the world today. Just as my teachers held me accountable for knowing my nation's history, we can hold others accountable for learning about and remembering the history shared by the world. Many of my international friends and teachers have already actively participated in this role, keeping the story of the April 3rd incident alive. To do this, we can make digital archives available in various languages, have educational resources for students all around the world, and use globalized platforms such as social media and the internet to encourage discussions on the April 3rd incident. I think that's partially why I stand here today, talking to everyone in English, not a language that is my native language of Korea. Because as an international student and Korean, I felt it was my duty to tell the world. We owe it to the people then, to the people now, and to the people tomorrow to share the story of the April 3rd incident. Thank you.